12, and I'm here to share my story about a young lone wolf who was taken away from his home due to a flood, but he was taken in by an older, wiser wolf. I flailed my paws around as the water flooded everywhere. I struggled to keep my head above the water. My vision started to blur, and my head was spinning. I heard all the forest collapsing because of the flood, everything I knew. I started to think this was the end of me. Now that the flood had come to clear the land, I thought for a moment that I should let my spirit rise as well. No, I can't give up hope. The words of my mother's house song came to me in an instant. Trust the voice inside and let it guide you to our life, the wolf life. Power pulsed through my whole body. I stopped flailing and headed for the closest tree. I forced my body to keep going on, no matter how dangerous it was up ahead. Once I heaved my body on this sturdy log, I collapsed on it. The floating wood guided me into an unknown, dead forest. I looked at my destroyed home. There was water everywhere. It had ripped all the trees from the ground, killed animals like me, and worst of all, stopped anything from growing and developing. All of it was too much to bear. I wanted to hide myself from the new world I no longer knew, but there was nothing to go to, no one to go to now. I shut my eyes tightly and almost immediately had fallen into a deep sleep I never wanted to awake from. I growled softly while gaining consciousness. The thing I dread when waking up is remembering everything that happened the previous day. But when I sniffed the air for anything familiar, there wasn't even a trace of water from the flood. I quickly snapped my eyes open to examine where I was. I was in a large cave, like my home that I had to evacuate. I continued to inhale the scents around me from where I was lying down. It smelled of another wolf's den. Instinctively, I jumped into an offensive position, baring my teeth and growling loudly for a ruffle. But there was nothing to attack. I shut my drooping jaw and stopped snarling. I turned my head to have an actual look at my surroundings. There was a small entrance, a deer leg, and a bed across the stone floor, with a wolf in it. He heaved himself to his paws after noticing I was staring at him with cold eyes. He grinned softly and noisily stepped towards me. I returned to an attack-ready posture, ready to tear his neck apart if he got any closer. Easy there. I am the one who saved you after all, he said calmly as he padded up to me. I sat up straight, knowing that he was older and wiser, and that he was not posing a threat, at least not yet. But I did give him a quizzical look with my head cocked. He chuckled, showing his broken, yellow canine teeth. I know. First, I am not going to kill you. Second, I found you unconscious near my den. I thought you may want to know. I ignored him. Cautiously, I stepped towards him and sniffed his strange dark blue fur that was very dirty and unkempt. He carried an unknown scent, but I'd probably grow used to it after hearing him chatter all day. After I was done with him, he stepped towards the back of his den to drag the deer leg I saw earlier towards me. Once he was close enough, he tossed it so it would land at my feet. I stared at the meat in my paws and looked back at the old wolf with confusion in my eyes. He blinked before crouching into a clay position and barking, "Go on, it won't bite." I dropped my head to stare at the meat once again. I lowered my body into a comfortable position and reluctantly bit into the deer leg just to start wolfing it down. Once I was finished with my messy meal, I asked him, "Why did you do that?" He cocked his head and let his tongue roll out of his mouth. "Why can't I? You needed it, so I let you have it. But what if I was a lone wolf? What would you have done if I was greedy and selfish like one?" I asked, becoming ever so confused and curious. He chuckled again. "One, you are a lone wolf now. The flood had forced you to move out." It took a moment for me to understand what he was saying, but before I could ask him how he knew about the current event, he continued. "Two, I could tell you needed me and this den." He watched my eyes closely and then howled with laughter. "Young ones these days." He shook his head. "You'll find out soon enough," he said as he padded towards the entrance to the den. He paused suddenly to turn his head back to face me. "Oh, and do not forget, pay it forward. Help one in need, not one who will desire it." The odd old wolf continued his way outside, and I never saw his unique blue fur again. I sat in front of my den, howling to my long-lost mother's house song. It was a long time since I saw her, my old flooded forest, and the strange old wolf with blue fur that gave up his territory and den for a young lone wolf. All I could do now was wait for my time to end, and the new wolf to come to my den. It was a harsh noon. Snow had fallen and blizzards had shown no sign of mercy. But when that tiny pup arrived in my den, I knew I had to survive a while longer. And good thing the wolf pup was a strong survivor. She could howl and whine loudly. She was growing smarter every day. I decided to name her Blizzard after the strong snowstorms that howled at my den in the forest. Blizzard was merely 2 weeks old, but was growing up quickly and was more sturdy than the winds that brought hailstones and ice. She will be quite a strong wolf when she matures. I turned my head to the old bed, even when I go.